Welcome to the New Health Paradigm Call for Human Consciousness Support. It's a special call because we have a special guest, and I'll be introducing him in just a second. I wanted to open up with just a little bit about MasterPeace and why we meet, and a little bit about what we do. A lot of people here are here not for the first time, so you've heard this before, but some of us are new, and so we'll just go through some basics here. So the New Health Paradigm Call is for a couple reasons we have this. One is to support the new people that are coming on board with using our products. I can say products now because we now have Master Restore available, but most people are hearing about us through MasterPeace, and that is our, as Dr. Robert Young calls, our colloidal formula that has a blend of the perfect particle size range of nano-sized zeolites that Matthew Hazen has worked with Michael Coe at the Kansas State University in the past with formulating that particular formula, and with him and Matthew and Matt Senna, putting that in a base of marine plasma. So what that does, it's a very synergistic formula, and it's an alchemy type process, I would say, and it becomes something different. And it's been shown through Robert Young's electron microscopy work to be very different from anything we've seen before. So we have the negative charge of the zeolites binding to a positively charged toxin that's in your body. It is inert. Zeolites are inert to the body, so it doesn't recognize it as something digestible. It does not digest it. But with the marine plasma mixed in with it together, they form a bond of getting those positively charged molecules out of your body and replacing that with good stuff. And that's what your cells like. So the intracell capable formula of MasterPeace is able to take out the toxins that we're all bombarded with every day that are now nano-sized. Didn't used to be that way. Not that things weren't nano-sized. In nature, things are nano-sized. But to man make things that are nano-sized, that is something that's rather new. So that's the difference here. And so it comes in a liquid like this in a bottle. Most people here probably have it, or it's on the way. And what we say is 10 drops a day. Not a magic number necessarily. It was something that was a good hypothesis. And the clinical study did show that 5 drops twice a day did do what we were thinking it was doing. If you're wondering about the dosage, if you can play with it, you certainly can. The gal, the lady, client number 1 who did the best with her graphene oxide numbers actually did not follow the protocol. So she was not compliant actually with the study, which is what we don't want when you do a study. However, it turned out to be to our benefit because she did not use the powdered zeolites no, she didn't use them at all, as a matter of fact. And what she did was she would carry this bottle around with her, and she would just kind of, you know, take a half a dropper full, which half a dropper is actually like almost like 9 drops. So she would do that throughout the day. So she was using much more MasterPeace than the other 2 were, and she happened to get her numbers down the most. So if you want to stick with 10 drops a day, I think that's a pretty good amount. But what I would do, if you'd like to, if you can, you don't have to do this every day, is I would do 2 to 3 drops at a time and just space it throughout the day. That is the best way to do it because your body is constantly releasing things that it can release. It's constantly in a cleansing mode all the time. It never stops that. So instead of just getting the 5 drops twice a day, morning and night, let's say, it's better just to have, you know, if you had a constant IV drip, that'd be great. But, you know, you're not going to do that. So you can also play with little other ideas. I have this nasal spray from another company, and I just put MasterPeace in it. I also put in a bottle of what's called Ion Biome. It's another colloidal product. You can fill it up with MasterPeace and you can squirt it up your nose. To me, makes good, you know, it makes good contact with my nasal cavity, and it's close to my brain. That's probably a good thing. And people are doing eye drops too. So with the new formula, the newest formula is a bit cloudy. That's how you'll know you have the newest formula. And that has a better pH to put in your eyes. the clear one, which is what this one is actually, it's going to sting a little. And actually the cloudy one will sting a tiny bit too, but it's not because it's hurting you. It just has to do with the pH in your eyes and your tears, your lubricant in your eyes naturally is, you're going to blink a few times and it's going to eventually get that pH to where it needs to be, which is a higher. It's going to be more alkaline. So, that would be a good idea for anyone that has any eye concerns, or if you just don't want to have eye concerns later, that would be a good idea. I do eye drops almost every day, and I tend to have dry eyes, and I got to tell you, I have less dry eyes now. And if I was just on it every day, I probably wouldn't have any problem with dry eyes. So those are just some different ways you can take it. I do have the Master Restore here too, just because people are going to ask questions possibly of, what this is and how much is in each and all that. So I'll just get this out of the way at the beginning. So this is now on the website for sale. We do have it being shipped out right now. It is a 300-gram jar, and it's a powder that is the same zeolite actually that we use to make MasterPeace, but it's staying in its powdered form. So it's in a bigger particle range, and it's mixed with a fulvic acid powder as well. So it has the same kind of mechanism of action as MasterPeace does, because you have the zeolite and then the smaller size particle range of the minerals. And then you have the zeolite with a slightly smaller particle range of the minerals, in this case, fulvic acid. Fulvic acid is known to be the best bioavailable mineral source on land. And then we have the best bioavailable mineral source in the sea. So we thought it was a really good synergy right there. I've been asked a lot how much clinoptilolite zeolite is per dose. And it is just under 5 grams, 4.9 grams. So in my head, I'm just going to remember 5 grams per dose, which is a very good size dose. And the fulvic acid is 167 micrograms. So it's not milligrams, is it? Yeah, it is milligrams. Yeah, milligrams, 167 milligrams of fulvic acid, which is a lot. What we do, and the directions say, and we will get the labels, pictures of the labels on the website. That was a good suggestion from somebody. It says, as a detoxification support, adults mix 1 scoop with 6 to 8 ounces of water or favorite beverage, and you can. It tastes a little, it tastes smoky, definitely smoky. It's odd. It's not gross, but it's just like, huh, that's different. So if you ever had like if you ever smell like a liquid smoke, like a bottle of that liquid smoke, that's kind of what it tastes like. So it's a little bit smoky and it just mixes right up. It won't stay mixed though. So what I do is I put it in my glass of water and I keep the spoon or the fork or whatever I'm using in there, and I just keep stirring it. And it takes me 20 minutes to drink it. I usually just don't guzzle a lot. So my morning routine, I'll tell you, so is this MasterPeace. And then not too long after, I do a squeeze of lemon in water, and probably usually warm water. Drink that down. And then I do, because I really want to hydrate, and then I do the Master Restore. And I let that, sink in for an hour or 45 minutes at least. And then I eat. So in the morning, you're dehydrated. You're dehydrated in the morning. You've been sleeping all night. You haven't had anything that you're ingesting. You're also respirating all night, and you lose a lot of moisture in your body through breathing. You won't realize that. So you wake up dry. So if you wake up and eat a muffin and drink a cup of coffee, your body needs water. And so what I do is I take a number of hours in the morning. This is just what I do. And I hydrate myself. I probably should drink more water than I do in the morning. But nevertheless, that is my goal. And so I usually have a few glasses of water in the morning, and it does include the Master Restore. So I've added this to my routine in the morning. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a special call today with Doc Smith. He is a gentleman that I met virtually through another group that we are involved with. And he has and had, and I read, an impressive bio. And on your website, Doc Smith, you don't have the whole bio that I read, I don't believe, because I remember reading a lot more. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself with all of that. You were in the military. You were and I'm losing it now. There it is. A combat veteran. You have experience in, I can't see it now, but you were a medical platoon leader, right? And then later, you started studying, I think TCM. That's what I got when I talked to you on the phone. Okay. But you are a practitioner of medical Qigong. And the other one I'm not familiar with, Twina. I don't know what that is, but you'll tell us what that is. And so when we talked on the phone a few days ago, you and I were just totally in sync, 100%, at least with what we had exchanged ideas of. And I kind of already knew when I saw your comments on the other group that we're on, and saw your experience, that we already would be, but it just became more clear when I talked with you. So we're a group, we're coming together because of MasterPeace, because we realize that we have a world full of toxins that aren't so natural. And what we're doing is we're trying to, and we're all on our journeys in a different uh, step on our journey. Some are just starting and some are very far along. But nevertheless, we're all convening in this one space because we realize now that the technology has gotten to the point, and the ability has gotten to the point of being able to poison us from the air, let's say, and get it into our water and get it into our food and all of that, that we have a problem. We have a real problem intracellularly. So this inside the cells are becoming so deranged and so poisoned that we needed a solution. And so we have a solution that we're all working with right now, and that's MasterPeace. It's that zeolite formula that I mentioned. I think I gave you the website. And so now, also moving forward, because this is such a pivotal time, it's a time of truth telling. It's a time that people are actually finally being able to get their work that they've worked on. And in the case of like Dr. Robert Young's work is one, Dr. Carrie Maude is another, and there's plenty others that have done a lot of work, but they've been suppressed. And now it's becoming so popular that these people are able to have platforms. And so many people now are learning, and they're realizing, oh, wow, it's not a what can I do for that type thing anymore. Like that's not the model that we need to go in order to get our best health, because that's not going to get our best health. So the idea is, how can we realize we're in this human zoo? So we're in this unnatural world that's putting us in this, we're encased in plastic, just where we're not grounding ourselves every second, which we should be most of the day. We're not drinking. It's very hard to get pure water. It's just everything is difficult, and all that stuff should be free and easy, and now it's difficult. And so almost every minute of the day, we have to try to do what should be easy for us. And some of that just involves unlearning or changing things in our lifestyle that become natural. Then you don't have to think about it anymore. So your work piqued my interest because you have the same ideas as I do, and the same theory of moving forward is that, hey, healing is actually free. It is actually free. Right now, we need tools because we're in such a state of physical unwellness that we need help. And also just, we're all stressed out. We all have these traumas that we need to release on a deep level. That is, that subconscious layer is running there. It's running us and running us. And so there's a lot of things we have to try to learn and to do. And it one step at a time, and one step at a time. What is one person ready for? Another person can be ready for something else. And that's how it goes. So I'm going to give you the floor here. I want you to explain, just tell us who you are, your background, and you are doing a research project that I wanted everyone to know about, that you have, that's open to everybody here. In the first 4 weeks are at no charge. And just explain what you're doing there and what your goals were with that research project, and how we can help you, and tell us your philosophies and how you can help us move forward. The floor is yours.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Terry.
You're welcome.
And folks at MasterPeace for putting this together. How much time do I have?
Well, we're usually on for an hour, hour and a half. So
okay, so 10 minutes, 15.
Oh yeah. Oh, at
Oh,
least. At
okay,
least.
great. Let's go ahead and we'll start by feeling what we're talking about here. So we're going to take 3 breaths all together, and we're going to breathe out through an open mouth. And you can do that like a lion's breath, or we can breathe into the nose and then out like a horse breath. We're going to do it 3 times together, breathing in silently through the nose and releasing fully. Feeling the body relax, feel the feet glued to the earth as we breathe out. As we breathe in, we feel ourselves expand from the center in all directions. And as we breathe out one more time, feel the crown of our head extend up to the heavens. All right. Well, thank you for joining me for that, everyone. And we'll get to all the questions you might have and to my bio and everything in time. Everything is going on perfect timing. One thing I want you to understand is to give you an assurance that we're all on our healing path, and our nature is to self-heal. And when we get closer to nature, to our nature, we're going to self-heal naturally. So this little exercise I've just brought us through, you might feel like a little bit more lightness, a little more openness. If you feel like moving your body, opening your joints, that's a good thing. I encourage everyone, if we're on our phones, we're on a computer, one thing we'll notice in our body is a lot of times our hands will be turned over or we're typing, right? And that's actually closing off our meridians here, our lungs and our pericardium, our heart, so forth. So let's take another breath here. We'll breathe into the nose, expanding our belly. And let's open our hands, open our thumb up, breathe out of an open mouth. We can flick out of our hands any energy that's building up. Okay, and this might sound like some woo-woo or crazy stuff to some people, but this is Qigong, okay? This is energy work. This is energy exercise. And we all have this ability. This is a rapport with nature that we've developed over our evolution or whatever it's been for how long, being here. And this practice that I learned, one of the pillars of traditional Chinese medicine is called Qigong, energy exercise. There's also Tui Na, which is the body work, hands-on manual therapy pillar of Chinese medicine. And those are the 2 pillars that I studied when I 10 years ago moved out here to California after I got out of the military, having 3 tours in Iraq and being very broken in many ways, emotionally, physically, and not getting any relief from anything. And the only thing that was helping me was going to the chiropractor like every 3 days. My neck was in so much pain, my back, my shoulder, everywhere. Since 2020 happened, I realized that so much of what we're confronting is mindset. And it has to do with people's understanding of what's happening and people's understanding of what nature is and what health is, what pain is, what disease is. So, and there's a big gap in terms of people not understanding how much power we have to self-heal and how many methods and protocols there are that are out there. I've been helping people to understand that it's not just one thing, though. It's not just that one thing. It's not just the alcohol. It's not just the graphene oxide. It's not any one thing. And that's part of our paradigm that we need to shift is we're always looking for a scapegoat or single targets and magic bullet solutions. While what we have to do is select using our inner doctor as our guide, take everything with a grain of salt. What I say, what everybody says, take it all with a grain of salt and let your inner doctor guide you. And you might need X, Y, and Z from outside of yourself. However, don't forget about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way through all the different things that we can be doing from the starting with that, releasing our breath rather than 20,000 times a day, holding in our exhale and just ever so slightly building up tension over and over again and never releasing it through all of our musculature here that then impacts our respiratory system and so forth. So understanding the power of breath work, understanding the power of our touch, understanding the power of our mindset, to be able to center ourselves, ground, all these concepts that people have heard of. I'm helping people to put these things together holistically. And that's what the research project is about. And if anyone wants to work with me on this, it's a 4-week process that we go through. The first week, we'll schedule a phone call and we'll speak for an hour or so. And you're just going to tell me everything I need to know about what you're feeling, about what I need to know. And we're going to talk a bit during that conversation about a holistic understanding. So that way you can take your symptoms that you're feeling and we can connect and understand that the back pain and the insomnia and the toothache and the depression and all these different things are actually, they're not separated out from each other. And there's not one thing that's causing them. They're more like a tree that has a bunch of different fruit on it, or it's got a bunch of fruits on it, oranges. All of them are connected to the same many different roots. Okay, so I'm helping people in the first session to sort of talk through what I need to know to understand about their situation and their experience, and then help them to frame it in a way that they understand really how the organs, our vital organs, are driving so much of our experience. And I'm helping people to have a framework of understanding that's something that they can hold on to and actually make sense of the world, whether it's emotional, mental pains, problems that we're having, or whether it's physical pain, or other symptoms. We're stepping back and we're considering that maybe these are all part of the same thing. And we need an all of the above strategy to start building our daily protocols to do these things like you're talking about, Terry. Okay. And maybe it's, hey, in the morning before you take your MasterPeace, let's do our breath work. Let's do our XYZ, whatever it is that floats your boat, that works for you. And I'm encouraging people to experiment on ourselves and try things out. So in the first session, that's what we do over the phone, try to focus on the mindset and the framework. And then the second, third, and fourth sessions, I take people through 30-minute video calls where we start out focusing on posture and purging, so that breath out through the mouth, releasing into our expanded posture. I help people with this basic first step of a Qigong practice. And then in the second video session, the following week, the third week, we do strengthening and stretching within the Qigong framework. And it's sort of like yoga. So, wear athletic clothing and be ready to move a bit, but it's going to be also more gentle than it's not a hard yoga class. We're just focusing on the basics. Then the third and final class is a class where we bring in the concept of balancing, and we breathe in and out through the nose. And then we end with a self-healing meditation that's goes way, way back in Taoist healing practice, and takes about 10 minutes or so, and it really helps to sort of center the self. And we go through this process over 4 weeks. If you go to healingisfree.com, you'll see a little description of that and information about me. And then at the bottom, you put in your little bit about you, how you're feeling, and your contact information, and we'll schedule the first phone call. But really, it's a great framework for people who are wanting a holistic understanding, who know that they don't need to go to 10 different specialists for every single problem that they have, that there's actually common things that are coming together for all this, like having graphene oxide throughout our body, for example. Well, we can take care of that. And let's not forget the detoxing power of our breath as well. So I encourage anyone who's interested in this, please reach out to me. Healingisfree.com. It's very simple. You'll see how to submit that form on the website, and I'll be in touch within a few days. So,
Sometimes just meeting with somebody that can tune into guiding you and all of this inner knowing that we know it's inside of us. And like for me, the breath is like one of my weakest points. When I am able to concentrate on it, and I've done it, I've done yoga, I've done meditation, plenty of meditation, all this, but it's like it's not a daily, like all day thing. I know it's like one of my weakest things. So when you meet with somebody who has that strength, let's say, it's it helps you to get a handle and put things in priority, and just bring back to mind the things that you probably already know, whether it's on a very etheric level or whether it's, oh yeah, I used to do this 10 years ago on a very conscious level. And to be able to just have that time, that's a really nice offer. And so what is it you had told me on the phone? I forgot how you put it. What is it that what data are you looking for when you say it's a research project? What are you for the future planning for once you get that data?
this is a great question because I'm wondering as well.
Okay.
We follow our plan one step at a time, and I have a bit of vision of what it could be. Um, part of it is, I think, the initial question that I've I've always asked is, how come we're doing all these different protocols in the hospitals without being certain first that there's not other ways to do it, without ever even having to take something that might have a side effect? What's our actual evidence? And, I don't want to get into the whole rabbit hole of this, but there's just not much evidence because it's not studied. So the things that I'm talking about are conveniently not ever studied to compare to the pills and the surgeries and all this stuff. And I mean, so people understand a bit of what I do. If you go to the website, you'll see a few videos there that show the hands-on work that I do. I mean, I've spent thousands of hours with my hands, very, intimately in contact with people, feeling and assessing in the moment and going through a protocol where really get to know people and exactly how they're feeling, to where the communication is without words. I don't know if we have any Alan Watts fans in here, but Alan Watts said that the ego is it's muscles tension in the face. That's what the ego actually is. And that's one thing I help people understand is why these 3 lines that are horizontal on our forehead that come up sometimes are called our spleen lines. Well, when we're obsessed over something, that's our spleen that is actually creating that emotion by being a little bit stagnated on something. And it's not things are not flowing, we're holding on to something, we're obsessing over it. Well, that's spleen function. And that's understood in Chinese medicine, but it's not understood in so-called medical science. So I help people to understand these things, how our organs are really driving the train. And it shows up on our face, it shows up in the condition of our skin. If we have eczema, if we have um, edema around our ankles, okay, this is all organ function. And the incredible news is that so much of it can be managed by merely getting out and moving, starting from expansion from the center, using our breath. This is a movement, right? Breathing in, expanding, breathing out, releasing, extending up to the heavens, beginning there with our movement and relaxation, and then flowing freely through all of our range of motion and learning how to do this on a daily basis. This is what a Qigong moving meditation flow is and why it's healthful, because so many of our most common symptoms are a matter of our organs not functioning well. And they're not functioning well for many different reasons. For example, the things we eat. For example, not getting enough sleep. Also, when we ruminate and worry and hold on to these emotions and don't let them go, that's also going to then burden that organ that's associated with that energy spent on obsessing over something. So when we start to understand that this pain that we have in our neck, it's actually because the organ that is related to that muscle along the meridian of energy, that organ's overworked for many different reasons, because we're eating too much, too late at night, snacking too much throughout the day, maybe because it's processing heavy metals and stuff like that. So this organ is saying, hey, I need to do this. I'm working overtime. I need energy. I need help. All hands on deck. And it pulls energy from the muscles and tendons and things that are along that line of energy. The muscle and the tendon starts to cramp up, tighten up. The line on the face gets deeper as the energy is now drying up. It's stagnating. It's not flowing freely like a full river. So we start to see this line more clearly now. We feel the pain here, and we have the corresponding emotion as well. So I'm helping people to understand all these things holistically. This is what I mean by holistic. It's not, hey, just buy everything that they sell you and go to the medical doctor and go to every specialist they send you to. Take everything with a grain of salt, tuning into our inner guide, our breath, and taking it one step at a time. So that's what the project is about. The purpose of the research was your question. I would love to be able to write a book and have all these people that join me as case studies and say, hey, you know, when I started out, I was feeling this way. I had these symptoms, and, you know, after a month, I was feeling this way. Or after 6 months, because people are welcome to continue on, you know. And I think I'm going to do it for just donation, you know, on a sliding scale anyway. So, but that's the purpose of the research. I'd love to write a book. Healing is free, and sort of make this argument with some data that we are able to self-heal most of our common symptoms with tried and true protocols that are enjoyable and that are right here available for us anytime, and all we need is the understanding. So that's the purpose of the research.
Thank you. Well said. I like to think of the allopathic system as an offering, as an offer. It's on the table. It's a tool. The problem is that they themselves don't look at themselves that way. Once you start to realize that your body has certain needs, and it will actually, if you give it those needs, the raw materials, the proper rest, which is a raw material, the proper everything that it needs, it is going to heal itself. But now, because we live in this human zoo, it's very difficult on a daily basis to get all of our ducks in a row. Like we get it, but we're trying to do our best. And so then you get some symptoms that pop up, and trying to keep the tools in the place that they need to be in. The tools are there to help the body to heal. And there's a very fine line between using that as to help the body to heal than to medicate a symptom, because you can use herbs to medicate symptoms, right? So what I emphasize is stop doing the things that are hurting your body as best as you can. Beginning of my statement was using allopathy for what it's good at, but not leaning on allopathy. When I say allopathy, for those that aren't familiar with that word, it's the medical system, those that have a certain model, and that is to treat symptoms. And sometimes you need to treat a symptom. Sometimes you need to do that because maybe you broke your leg. That's, you got pain because you need to go and you need to, get that taken care of correctly. You need stitches or yeah, what? Sure. What?
Well, I just want to say that this is what will be fun with the research project. Anyone who wants to join this research project, we will eliminate things off those lists that we feel like we need to go to the hospital or to the medical doctor for.
Good.
We can eliminate a lot of those things, and I'm not saying everything. I mean, if if you're if you get in a car accident, you on your way to the hospital, God is still in charge. It's okay. You're gonna try to get out of there as soon as you can. Is my only advice. But
Yeah.
but for a lot of these things, there are self-healing protocols that have just been hidden from us because there's no interest in people understanding these things.
Right.
So, you know, I encourage everyone, if you're listening to me and you're not sure and you're not quite ready to reach out to me, forget about me. There's what's called the inner canon of Chinese medicine of the Yellow Emperor, and the actual mythological creation story of the nation of China. Their official history is that they had a warring states for many, many years, and it was never united until the Yellow Emperor came along. And how did the Yellow Emperor unite all these warring empires and kingdoms into China? Well, it's because he understood the way. And he was a student in the lineage of Lao Tzu. And this this lineage, which is also the healing lineage in the Chinese medicine, that's what it is. It's one and the same with philosophy. He was a student of that from a young age, the Yellow Emperor, and growing up learning the way, he was able to not only unite China, but he was a master physician and healer. And so his inner canon was canonized. It was officially put together in like 232 BC, and that was after a process of thousands of years of being handed down generation to generation, and then it just became the official canon about 2,500, 3,000 years ago. So there's all this information that's out there, and you can find Huang Di's Neijing, the inner canon of the Yellow Emperor. You can find on thrift books or places like that, different translations, and just pick one up, and it's going to be great stuff for you to learn and to understand about what I've been talking about, the multi-factor nature of everything in our health and our disease. It's not just one thing that's causing it. So to be successful in our path to health, we want to take all of the above strategy from a holistic mindset.
And so we've on these calls for those that have been ongoing coming. So we talked a lot about principle of keeping things in their place, some practical things you can do, but not too much. So here's a practical thing that is being offered. If anyone wants to take Doc Smith up on that, it's something that could really benefit. And so it's a way to learn a new practice. Perhaps maybe it's getting your foot in the door. Finally, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take more of an investment in my health and just be more mindful of what I'm doing on a daily basis. So we appreciate that. And I want to open the floor to anybody that has a question for Doc Smith in particular, or any comments. Normally we open the floor up for those that have comments or questions about MasterPeace, but we really want to keep it a little bit different today. So Margarita, please unmute yourself.
Hi, thanks, Terry. Thanks, Doc Smith. That was wonderful. Yeah, I'm just wondering how many people you want in your research.
Well, more the merrier. At this point right now, I'm open, and if it gets to the point where I feel like I can't handle any more people, then I'll have to just put out a little moratorium on it. But the thing is, if let's just say 100 people signed up tomorrow, I would just have to tell 90 of them, hey, you're going to have to start in a month or 2 or 3 from now. And I would start with the first 10 that signed up, and we would go for the first month, and then I would invite the next. So
Okay, great. So you think you're going to do this like over a period of time, it sounds like.
I've been telling people I feel like this is the next 5 to 10 years for me. So
Oh, cool.
Such a nice call. Thank you for being here. We have an article section on our website now, and Nikki put on an article about cleansing. And you bring up, specific organ issues. Oh, sorry, a little not loud enough. We have an article on our website about liver cleansing.
Liver
Having
cleansing.
your Chinese medicine. Yeah, right. I've had a lot of success with that. The picture of all the gallstones that people get out is on our website. So, we want to have this conversation as a company. Nikki wrote this article, and if you could add some insight to it, that'd be wonderful.
What a great question. What an awesome opportunity to answer this question live, because it's so cool what this perspective brings to this question. So you're talking about liver detox, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And when we think about liver detox, would you just tell me what you mean by that? Give me a few examples, or one example.
Sure.
What did you do to liver detox?
Well, we go at it from 3 different angles from what we're suggesting as a company.
Okay.
2 of them are our products, but the third is Zen Cleanse enzymes, which specifically targets the liver. Of course, we think the nano goes everywhere in the body. We know it does. Where water can go, the nano in MasterPeace is going to make it there. And then we have a larger part size with Master Restore. It's moving through the digestive tract, and that goes right by the liver and the gallbladder and all that. So it's probably relevant. But then in terms of getting out large stones, it's a big problem for people, and it's really hard to do that well. I found that Zen Cleanse does that really gently and profoundly in the scheme of things. So that's what we're suggesting is those 3 options. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So that's great. And I think that it'd be fun to write a little blog post about this to sort of fill that out with other things too, because it's not only mechanistic, right? There is the mechanistic aspect. Of course, if we've got heavy metals now coming into our system, that's not normal, right? That's not natural for mercury, aluminum, et cetera, at these levels to go directly into our bloodstream. So to mechanistically go in there and using a product like this to sort of retrieve those things that are toxins, to pull them out. And I don't understand the exact science of how that's done. I'd love to learn, but basically the things, it helps to pull them out, right? And then we eliminate them, peeing them out or whatever. So that's great. Do that. Here's a few other things we can also do that are really important to detox our liver. Let's understand what our liver is from a holistic perspective. It is the yin, or the feminine organ of our wood element. Okay. So there's a yang organ, and that's our gallbladder. And then the yin organ is the liver. And the yin organ actually kind of takes care of and nourishes the yang organs. So the yin organs are really the most important, and they need to be primary. Okay. So there's so many different things that correspond to our wood element: our liver, our gallbladder, our kindness, and our frustration. So we can breathe in our kindness, like that beautiful tree. And we can breathe out any of the frustrations, open mouth, let it out, detoxing with our breath and our intention, letting it out. We can imagine a deep forest green coming in, strengthening us, strengthening our liver and our gallbladder. We're going to breathe out, open mouth, slimy, toxic green, leaving. This is not bad energy. Okay. It's not our energy. We don't have bad energy. It's the energy from the sun and from the earth, and it's going in two directions, back and going from the sun to the earth and earth to the sun, and interacting with these 5 elements of metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. So the energy that we're letting go, it's the energy that is going to be replaced immediately. So there's no reason to hold on to it in the first place. So breathing in, we strengthen. Breathing out, we purge. Detoxing with our breath. It's going to help with any detox of any organ, simply purging breath like that. And we can enhance it with our intention being refined, understanding that it's wood element. Okay, the nature that we want to embody is kind to ourselves and kind to others. And we want to release any of the emotions that we acquire when our state of free flow is stagnated. And then one more thing I'll show you, which might be a little harder to do here, so I don't have a stand, but I'll just show you with your hands. Anyone, you can do this right now. We're going to go 2 directions. We're going to start with our gallbladder meridian. And take your hands any way you want here. I just like to go like this, right here on the temples. And we're going to relax our eyes. We're going to breathe into the nose, expand our posture from the inside. And then I'm going to start clawing, energetic claws, okay? Like tiger claws. They grow out of my fingers. Now I'm going to brush along the top of my ears here, the side of my head on the top of my ears here. I'm brushing all this down to this side of my occiput on both sides here. Scraping this energy here down to the side of my neck, and then coming back to my back along my side body, where my latissimus dorsi right here connects to my shoulder in the back, and then coming down the side body, down my hips, side of my legs, down the side of my knees. And then I'm going to sort of pull the energy out of my ankles and out of my toes as I breathe out, letting it go, breathing out any frustration, breathing in kindness. And now we're going to come up from the inside of the big toe. And well, actually, excuse me, when I say inside, I should say the lateral side. So between the big toe and the toe next to it, the second toe, sort of scraping the same way along the inside of the big toe. And right there at the crook where the big toe and the second toe meet at the foot, that's a major point right there. That's liver 3. You can press that point anytime we're feeling frustrated, and it'll help us. You can dig one heel into it on the other foot. So here, taking a moment on this point, and we're going to brush the energy up, coming up the inside of the legs, scraping this energy up as I come up to the inside of my knees here. And then I'm going to cross my hands over here and Let that go. That's my liver meridian. There you go. Beautiful, brother. Beautiful. So that's the gallbladder from the top down out of the fourth toe. And then the liver comes on the lateral side of the big toe. And we move this energy, we facilitate it, we help it to continue moving and not get stuck anywhere along these lines. And that right there in and of itself is going to create health, because dis-ease, all of our symptoms are all really matters of stagnation, dysfunction. Things aren't working, things aren't flowing, things aren't moving, they're not relaxing.
So there's different levels, right? And we do have an article on the website, and it's in no way to be comprehensive about cleansing, or no way incomprehensive about the liver. It's just one little aspect of what you can do for the liver, and it's not
okay,
just
good.
Yeah, it's not just, I mentioned Zen Cleanse, and I mentioned that there's some, and you might have heard of Andreas Moritz. He's deceased now, but okay. So he has the liver flush is what the article really is about, and you're probably familiar with that, which is a comprehensive approach to the mechanical squeezing of the liver after you open the bile ducts and getting out any kind of debris that's ready to come out. So, and with the system, especially with Zen Cleanse, with the system, you doesn't sound like you're familiar with the Zen Cleanse, but the whole day that you take to do the Zen Cleanse, which is a very gentle liver flush, incorporates the emotions that come up. That's part of the liver flush.
Wow. Nice.
Frustration and laying on the bed and connecting with your liver and putting your
Wow.
hand there, doing some massage, and yeah. So it's, yeah. Well,
I have to say that's astonishing, because for most companies, I don't know of any companies that actually have a holistic understanding like that. That's really good.
Based on TCM. So Daniel Leox is a TCM. I don't say doctor. I'm not really sure. I think so, but he's a detox. Yeah, he's a detox specialist. He's had his own brick and mortar clinics in Thailand, I know, and maybe Taiwan. But yeah, so it's the whole system built one day. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, pretty amazing. The classic liver flush is pretty harsh on your body. If the electrolytes, get wonky and depleted, but it can be done, and it's been done for years, really probably decades. And you can recover from that. But yeah, so there's so much more to it. But yeah, we definitely support the Zen Cleanse, because as far as the mechanical system of doing it that way, incorporating that into your whole program, that is the gentlest that we have found, and that is the most effective as far as getting that mechanical squeeze to happen effectively. If anyone's interested, we're going to have that on our website at some point, some more information. But if you look on the articles page, you'll see, I forget what I called it, but it's one of the articles there, and there should be a live link in that article. I have to actually go check. But yeah, if you want to know more information about that, I think I linked it. Does anybody have any more questions or comments for Doc Smith? Olga.
There we go. When you were talking about the breath work, and of course I know how important breath work is, I had a kind of almost like a mini epiphany, and I'd love for you to confirm or deny this, whether I'm on point or not. So even with, I had never considered the exhale as a detox, but of course that makes absolute sense. And what occurs to me is that when we're under heavy stress and moments of frustration, we do tend to just naturally, without even thinking, take deep breaths, and then just big exhales, like almost like an exhale of frustration, like, like, and it occurs to me that that's the body's natural response to this without our cognitive knowing or understanding of what that is. It's our body just doing it naturally.
100%. Olga, you're spot on. I mean, I can't unsee it anymore. When I I still like to watch sports from time to time, and the Super Bowl's on later today. You'll see it in the Super Bowl if anybody watch it, or you watch any live performance, music, anything. You'll see people with our breath, the people that are the peak of the world, the people that are not, they're not stuck in their ego trying to worry about how people think about them. They're mainly concerned about being the best ballet dancer in the world, or the best whatever. And or like tennis players, watch Novak Djokovic out there. He's out there and he's blah, blah. He's letting it out. He's letting out the energy. They're not holding it in. They move too well for that. They never hold on to their energy. You'll see it in pro athletes. You'll see it in musicians, and we'll see it in ourselves, of course. In our animal friends. Our animal friends are not concerned about shaking off a little bit of whatever, right? They'll shake it off, and yes, I think you're spot on there, Olga. You'll notice that.
Thank you.
There's a biological reason too for that sigh that we make sometimes, that we are just prompted to get that deep breath, is because the body is using the respiration to alkalinize the blood, getting more oxygen in. Because if you're under stress, or if you have emotions that are negative, it's going to acidify you. It's going to, make your body more acid state. That is when to come back to the breath and get that oxygen. So there's a biological process too, that your body's trying to get you in a more biologically healthy state. So
there you go.
Listening to your body's not keys, that's not what I want to say. Your body's signals. That way, what do I need? What does my body need right now? Ask yourself exactly, what do I need? And you can do that on so many levels. I do that all the time. All the time, whether it's what I eat, what I need to get up, do I need to walk, do I need to get down, do I need to, do I need to get angry, do I need to breathe, like all of that. But it's easier to do when there's nobody around you too, and you're not busy and all that. So
allow me to just relay, if I can, real quick, because I've started working with people in what's called advanced care. So elders, folks that had a stroke, can't walk, things like that, over the last year and a half. And one of the main things that I'm focusing on now is helping people to understand how to prevent what I'm getting ready to describe to you, which is the degradation of all this musculature all around here, which supports eating, swallowing, breathing. Breathe it out. Let it all the way out. Stick your tongue out. Let it go. Let all of this relax rather than holding it in. Let it all out and move it. So these things are big. These are important little, aspects that are in our culture. We don't think about it, and it's frowned upon in our culture to take a big breath out and sigh. But we need to do it, and do it on a daily basis. So when you're building your routine, every day you take your MasterPeace, 10 drops, take 10 breaths where you focus on the breath out too. Okay?
I want to piggyback off that because you made me think of something, and I was kind of giggling a little because what I was thinking. You're so right. We, especially in the United States, not every culture is like this for sure, but we don't move. And it's not just like, no, go take a walk. That's not what I'm saying. But when you're like doing all your movements right there, it's like, especially women, and we're just supposed to kind of sit and kind of just not move and kind of just be, we don't, it's kind of weird to a lot of people when they see the movements, right? Let's just be honest. I'm one to like not want to do that kind of stuff, so I'm definitely guilty. but it's like, you know, we don't dance. Like movement is a part of culture. At least it was a part of, I'm not sure we have a lot of culture right now because it's been taken from us, but you know, back a long time ago, like dance was always a part of culture, and that's emotion is supposed to be in motion. That's how we work out things, right? And so all of these movements, I feel like, are a tool to use that kind of came naturally when you talked about animals. You've seen we've seen some videos sometimes going around the deer that just got hit and nearly, you know, or just got away from a lion or something, and they finally are in a safe spot and they're kind of in a trauma response, and all of a sudden they just shake for like 30 seconds and they get up and they're fine. They just shook the trauma off. We don't do that.
People call it toxic masculinity or whatever it is about our culture, that we tell our kids, hey, stop crying or toughen up or whatever, rather than release, let it out, feel it, let it go. You know, and you know, people talk about traumas and how it affects our whole life and so many of the symptoms that we have. And it is, I mean, it's, you know, when we're a little child, vulnerable child, and a father or somebody, you know, gives you that energy that puts fear into you. Yes, that one traumatic event, we can say that that's the thing that has caused all these problems down the line. And sure, that's true, that in a sense that was the thing that did it, but it's not just that. It's also what we did. We slightly changed, subtly maybe, our posture, and we never held our head the same way around our father. And
Wow.
we never had our shoulders relaxed. We never had our, and this is where these patterns come from. And, you know, so many of us have had these father figures and different, you know, it's on TV, you know what I mean? We all know the American way of our culture has been very difficult for a lot of us, right? So understanding that, yes, that trauma has caused dis-ease. Doesn't have to always be there though, because we can become aware that it's not just the trauma, it's the posture that it led us to, and the patterns in our thoughts that it led us to. We can take time now in the reverse postures and think of and meditate on the other things rather than the sadness. We can meditate on our own integrity. So yeah, this is really important stuff. This is beautiful that we're able to come together, and I'm so glad that MasterPeace and this Terry, for everything that you're doing. This is great to have a venue for people to come together and have a greater understanding, holistically.
Yeah, well, we're gathering a lot of like-minded people that have their own little specialty areas, and some with vast experience in certain areas, and we're learning from that. That's how we move forward. You know, we need to deprogram, unindoctrinate ourselves, you know, from when we were kids, sitting in a classroom, you know, getting educated, or getting schooled, it really is the word, instead of learning how to think. Don't move. There's another not moving thing, right? What kid's gonna sit in a chair all day? Give me a break. I read something a long time ago, decades really, and it was a little tidbit, and I think it's true, is that kids learn best when they're moving. So like if they're juggling, or right, so playing, and it doesn't have to be like a large, but they're moving, and you're playing a game, and you're even throwing, I don't know, words or facts at them, or mathematics or something, that they actually will remember that better, and just that moving. So yeah, so, but no, let's just put him in a
Movement.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Movement is key.
Yeah, I think that's the takeaway today. Really, I think that's the biggest takeaway today is movement through the breath. Just because yeah, you're in Santa Barbara. Yeah, do you ever do live events out there?
Every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I teach Qigong here at noon.
Anybody's in California, there you go. Anybody nearby? I'm in Arizona. I'm not too far away. Oh, Matt, you have your hand up.
Messing with qigong for about 4 years. I used to do it more a while ago, but it was really scary how bad my neck was. And you know, the nanozeolite really goes after, I think, nervous system tissue especially well, because the poisons that are super positively charged, which is what the zeolite is really going after, is going to be attracted to charged tissue, like in the neck with the nervous system. Long story short is I'm reporting from experience, which is my neck got looser with the nanozeolite, and MasterPeace just is a better version of that, and so it's going even faster with MasterPeace. And like, well, I now it's not scary when I do my neck rolling around. And you know, really, I just needed to see some progress with that, and both the qigong and the internal detoxification. It's a match made in heaven. You know, so I'm really excited for what you're gonna see. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Well, Doc Smith, you're always welcome to join us every week. Maybe we'll get you on the email list, and maybe we'll
Please.
get a bottle of MasterPeace too. And by the way, he just heard about us. He just heard about MasterPeace a few days ago. So what he heard tonight is probably the most that he's heard. So we'll keep in touch about that.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Hi there, thanks. I just wanted to ask a question about the MasterPeace, if it's safe to give a 3-month-old baby.
Yes, if Matthew Hazen is on the call, I thought he was before, since he's had experience with his own infants, he can speak up. But yes, I know from his experience and that yes, it is. There you go, Matthew. Could you answer her question? I think you're probably most appropriate to answer that.
Yeah, so there's only 2 ingredients that's in MasterPeace, and both of them have been well documented and proven. You can hear my kids in the background. They fight over MasterPeace, so they drown themselves in it. You know, zeolite is always going to be 100% indigestible to the human body. So when it goes in, it does its function, which means it binds to toxins, and then it leaves your body safely through your perspiration and, you know, all the normal pathways that you would be able to release things. So the other one is the most bioavailable nutrient rich substance on earth, marine plasma. So I can tell you my kids get a hold of this stuff and they undo the bottles if I don't keep them on tight enough and drink bottles of this stuff. And my kids are very special. You know, I'm sure I'm a dad, so I say that, but yeah, it's absolutely safe in all ways for everybody. Our daughter took it from day one and before then. So yeah, absolutely. You're only going to see a really great response from them too, in terms of their consciousness. You are going to see a spark in them that kind of comes in them that, you know, from my experience, that I would definitely say that. Yeah. You're doing your kids a treat to give them this.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a good question and a very good answer. All right. Oh, Olga, do you have something?
I do. I actually have 3 things written down to ask about. MasterPeace. I know it's appropriate for everybody, but can it help somebody with sickle cell anemia? And then also, what are the benefits of MasterPeace for someone who has I have someone who has severe allergies to mold and other allergies as well. These are two separate individuals I had in mind. The one that has the mold allergy, they also have other allergies as well, but their parents are elderly and their house has a lot of black mold in it. And every time they go visit, they come home and their whole family is sick for days afterwards. So just specifically curious, because I know the zeolite carries all the toxins out of the body. If it might bind to the mold spores and carry those out as well. And then sickle cell anemia, the fellow that I'm thinking about for that, he was born with that. It's a very common ailment for Black people, for a lot of Black people. And it literally is the shape of the red blood cell is shaped like a sickle. If you know what a sickle is, doesn't have that proper shape. So I was more curious if, because I think it was last week, somebody had Matthew, or maybe one of the videos that I watched with Matthew and David Aguado, where he had said that even if you're doing a blood transfusion, you could replace the blood with the marine plasma, and that's when this question popped up, and I thought, oh, I'm curious to know if we know any more, maybe put it on the radar to find out more about.
Yeah, it could certainly be on the radar. So your body makes red blood cells, and if it's replicating that in that certain way, then I don't remember. I know I did research on this a long time ago. As far as the mold, let's say you're exposed. Let's use it as an example because it's a very good example. Say you're exposed. I was exposed to a moldy house for 10 years, and I was very ill until I got out of the house and did some comprehensive detoxing. So let's say that you are bombarded. First of all, your body is in a very healthy state, should be able to work through a lot of that and not have any symptoms, but we're not in a 100% healthy state. And so, and plus we're being bombarded from all sides. So it could be that the MasterPeace and Master Restore say they're taking both of them. Could be not enough. It could be that, there's more needed. And also take away the problem if a person can. I had to move.
Yeah, they're not on MasterPeace, or they're on a different zeolite product, and clearly it's not helping them. But I'd really like to put this, bring this to their attention, because in my spirit, I feel it could help them far more than what they're already on.
For a comprehensive issue like that with the sensitivities, and that, I'm not sure it's an allergy. If it's an allergy, they'd be in the hospital. So if it's a sensitivity to mold, I have that too. If I walk into a musty house, like I'm the canary in the coal mine with it, I'm like, oh no, I can smell it, and I'll get that. But if it was me, or if I was talking to that person, I would want them on MasterPeace, Master Restore, because of the different size zeolites in there. It's going to be on the outside of the cell, and I'd want them on clay, some kind of clay to also absorb. And I'd look at everything. I'd look at diet. I'd look at, what other thing, how can you take the burden off the body as much as you can? So this is all about what can we do? So the things that we present here, everybody, because we're all helping to present ideas and skill sets. You just have to decide, because I've been frustrated in the past myself, because I want to do everything, and I can't. And so you have to just, what can I do? So the best thing is stop the stuff from coming at you if you can, if you got to move, if you got to get a relationship, you got to whatever, stop the incoming, and then do what you can to remediate the damage and get the nutrition in. So it comes down to the same kind of concepts, and looking at that person as an individual and seeing where their weak spots are. And then always the same tools that seem to be the go-tos right now. Zeolite's great. Clay is great. We've been talking about a lot of water stuff and how to get clean water and nutritious water and energize it. Just these kind of basic things. Grounding, getting your feet on the ground at least 5 minutes a day, that does wonders, because we're electron deficient. And we need that. When you get your feet on the ground, like that, your feet have a lot of pores in them. There's a reason for that, because we're supposed to be on the ground, right? We're supposed to have that we're a battery, and so we get charged up. So if a person can't get out of a moldy house for whatever reason, like I didn't really understand the severity at the time, but I did everything I could, and it took the edge off. Definitely took the edge off, but it didn't make me well till I got out of there. But I wasn't using zeolite either. So Matt said, you had your hand up. I have a hunch that you were gonna mention something about the sickle cell anemia. That's just my hunch.
I give blood like a madman, and I'm not like anemic. I think the whole notion that we need iron is just missing the fact that we need mineral balance, and then the body really figures it out. And then on top of that, the idea that the company really embraces that help make our products is biominerals, as opposed to, rocks or metal. Frankly, this is rocks and metal that plankton have processed in a natural vortex, which completely changes it and infuses it with light, makes it able for our body to work with it very easily. and makes it nano-sized. So then, you know, with the marine plasma, you get all that, you know, transmuted mineral goodness in the right ratio that mimics your blood plasma. And then, yes, they replaced blood in a dog, like the entirety of the dog's blood. They couldn't take more blood out of the dog. And then they put this stuff in there, and about after 7 days, it's just like, you know, running around the lab and amazing. You know, the first thing to rebuild was the white blood cells, but the red blood cells did eventually catch up. Yep. So, you know, focus on broad spectrum bio remineralization and everything Nikki's talking about, you know, returning the body to homeostasis, and then the body heals it. You know, these sort of isolate approaches, especially with, you know, synthetic non-bio matrixed elements, just fails. And then about mold, you know, completely depends on what the mold is growing on. I heard a lecturer very convincing say, look, we take the bad mold, but we have it grow on a medium that isn't toxic, and the mold isn't toxic anymore. So, you know, what is the toxin that we're really being exposed to with mold? It could very well be the paint. You know, that the mold is micronizing, nanosizing, and aerosolizing. So you could be having a lead problem, or whatever the house is made out of. I think that's very likely. So you want the most broad spectrum depoisoner, as opposed to, you know, figuring out if this particular thing gets rid of that particular thing. Because for so many reasons, we don't know what we're getting.
That makes perfect sense. Like I said, her parents are elderly and not in great health. And so she has to go on a regular basis and help them. And every time they come out of there, they're sick. So the fact that her parents are elderly, I'm assuming that the house is probably an older house. So it may well have lead paint in it. Thank you for that, Matt.
Yeah, and you know, the zeolite science is unfortunately limited, but everything that there is so promising. And you know, they've studied more about the metals and the heavy metal removal than they have with mold. So, you know, there's that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's good feedback.
Oh yeah.
The terrain model that we're really talking about is true everywhere. So the mold is there for a reason. It's trying to remediate something. It's trying to take care of something, break down something. So the mold isn't generally the problem, even though that might be what we're sensitive to at the moment. It could be other things too. It's usually not one thing. Usually it's always a perfect storm. Whenever you're looking at something, it's never one thing. It's always a perfect storm. So yeah, it could be other elements there for sure. All right. Thanks all for coming. Thank you so much, Doc Smith, for your time. It's valuable. Time is valuable. It's the most valuable thing you can give to somebody or anything is your time. We all have the same amount. It's a level playing field there. And so it's very appreciated.
I was blessed to be here. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time and your attention and all your great questions. We'll see you next time.
Happy healing.